Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Stephen Topham Hatt III, at your service. Now we're going to talk about this topic seriously, like we did last time with honesty, which is the last podcast before this one. This one's called Little Pieces Come in Time. A lot of you may think rushing it is not the best option, alright? It applies to everybody, it's not just me alone. Little pieces come in time, right? We always take things for granted, and that's not always the case. Little pieces come in time. Why? So we don't rush, so we don't hesitate. A lot of you out there who think the North Norfolk Railway is a closed door. Well, at the moment, it is a closed door because in the moment they keep opening up, open, close, open and close, open and close, until one day they will end up losing what they lose. Right? Little pieces come in time that will correct these problems slowly. Right? A lot of you may feel that you've been pressurized, which is not often the case. You're ending up with a with something in your head and something in your mind that has to be part of me, part of you, part of everything. It's all connected. We all get one chance to try and solve it correctly before it gets even hotter, right? These little pieces are important, right? But they come in time. Why? Let me put this in the reason why we talk about this topic a little bit delicately is because it's truth. There's a lot of truth, right? You had Lily, right, in my podcast. It's the Lily podcast that I done. Lily Cole. I did it part one and two. It's wrong way round, that way round. Sorry, my bad. Anyway, but that's not the case. The thing is that you're all seeing everything unfold naturally, right? It doesn't matter if it's anybody from Orsted, Natford, Crosby, Wellsworth, Marin, Vickerstown, Isles, Islesburg West, Bluff Cove, Timber Bay, all of that area, ding 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 down the line, and then you're ending up with the result that you want, right? Right? A lot of you might think he's not joking. I will never joke about it. It's dead serious. It was dead replication and saying we are back, yes, but we're not gonna take no joke for it. We have to get serious sometimes, right? I know you like certain railways. I would recommend you to go somewhere else besides the North Norfolk Railway because it's a hot spot for trouble at the moment, right? I'm not going to be lecturing about the management because I already told you what they're doing behind your backs. So I'm not going to say that all over again, right? Because it's all honesty, it's all policy, it's all straight to the point. No bullshit, no crap, no nothing, right? You're getting it, right? It's hard for you to understand, right? At this moment, you want Richard Topham Hatt, you want Helen Hatt. I said they're not born yet, right? Because they my son and my granddaughter. So work forward. So get it in your head. This is where the problem is. Little pieces come in time, right? A private connection that I have in Australia has done it to safeguard me and my family, right? In general, as well as the people that play those type of roles. Now, what I'm trying to establish to you, to recorrect the timeline, we have to establish something, right? Every hat member of my family always have to get married to reproduce a hat, correct? And the answer will be in your mouth saying, yes, that's true. We won't bullshit with that, which is true. I won't lie about that. That's true. Because it has to forward in with a lot of direction. But what my friends didn't realise, they are like 40 years behind the times before it kicks in, right? When I read the Thomas the Tank books today, even now or in the future, I'll be looking back at my life because it's part of it. It's realistic. It's not false information. It's not accusations. There's no BS to it. There's no everything you want, right? Everybody's got a copy of the book of Thomas the Tank Engine Collection by Reverend Robert Audrey. Keep it, because at the end of the day, you got a part of my life that you understand now. You're starting to unfold the next half, right? You're part of the next half. But how? Family, friend, or connection, right? Little pieces come in time, right? You have to establish why is this important. Wild wouldn't arrest my private connection from Australia already made it quite clear, but he falsified the dates and years. This is why I did a lot of calculations to get it right. Why? Because my calculations came in perfect timing. Right? I'm not laughing or joking on this. This is dead serious. Right? I would never harm a soul in any place. But like I stated, right? I'm not guilty. So there's a video on that. That proves and get the connections correct, right? The first things you need to understand, little pieces come in time, right? There are a lot of people out there that want to feel safe, secure, everything else under the sun, want children, want a life, want to get on, moving forward, but they got, like myself, who wants to do the same, right? You see, there are things in this world that is not always a luxury. It's essential to keep it going, right? So there has to be a moving forward process. Like not a rehab, not anything what you think of that department. I'm making you quite clear the Northwestern Railway Company was right in front of you all these years. Just had to look upside down in Norfolk and it just connects some of the lines for you, right? A lot of you will think click, 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 it's in my head, obviously. All the answers are in my head, but I can't always give them out. Why? Because they're part of the puzzle that was uniquely designed in genetic, right? Bloodline, if you will, right? All the people that know about me, right, realistically, and knowing me, understanding me, right? The worst thing that a lot of people are feared was that they thought I was going to turn out like my father. The answer is no. Why? Because I'm a different type of hat. I am born from his bloodline, yes, but it's my grandfather you look up to, right? But it's true, but you also look up to me. Why? What can you see in my face that represents the hat you know? Think about it. You have to really look at it into genetic coding, right? Each numbers know everybody, right? Nearly everybody knows this, inside and out. I'm not going to BS. I'm not going to point fingers at anyone. I want you to think about this twice, right? I've already solved the whole puzzle, right, as a whole, but I just got to let it play out. So little pieces come in time. I want people to realise that I'm not rushing this, right? No need time. There are times in your life that you may think you've probably gone out with the right man, you've probably gone out with the wrong man. It vice versa, depending on the relationship, right? But there are things around you that calculate correctly, right? People watching me because they care about me and they understand what language I'm using. They're now understanding this, they're understanding that, and I'm not going to BS. Even that, I appreciate people helping me the best way they can, right? They can only do so much until something clicks and play, right? It's like watching the live version, the real live version. Press my buttons! In any direction, Thomas! And you're getting the real life version of me, and you're laughing, you're joking. Exactly, Thomas! In every angle! And you're hearing it through my mouth. You're not getting no voice mixing material. You're seeing it live, real life, not jokey, right? This is real life. Little pieces come in time, right? People have caught up with it and managed to realize who's who. And everybody's like saying, God, he's a hat by blood. Ding, 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 ding. 7 times. Why? You have to be realistic. This is not fiction. This is a thing that's unfolding in front of you. Now you probably got your kids, yourself watching it. But this time, when you're watching it, you're now an adult. You're not a child anymore. You're watching it as an adult piece of the timeline. You're watching it and seeing it unfold naturally unfold. You're not intervening. You're not jumping in. You're not having to rush. You really understanding exactly where I'm coming from. Holy smokes! Thomas, calm down at once. And exactly, you can see the language, you can feel the language, you know voice mixing material purely straight off the horse's mouth. Right? Imagine this, right? I can sing one and only by the fat man myself, third gen Stephen Topham Hatt III, Big Bob's uncle. People see it in the Albion, in the office, I call it, in Knapford, / Cromer. And you really wrap it up, and I wrap it up really good. And people know that voice. They know that it's no joke. They know it's, like I said, little pieces come in time. But now people are wondering, where's my children? Where's my Richard Topham Hatt? And where's my granddaughter, Emily Helen Hatt? They're a little bit what you will call 40 years behind the times. So we're not saying there are clues in everything, right? You're not going to get all the pieces in one swing. Once you know everything, you got to keep it to yourself and let it play out. You can't intervene and jump it in like a gun. No, 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 no. You have to let it all play out like little pieces come in time, right? It's realistic, right? I know a lot of my fleet out there, my engines, of course, my fleet, my support engines, what you want to call them, right? We're all together, but we are not working together as a whole because we have our own real life version of it. You know, we're not on rails, we're not always on road, depending on which one's which, obviously. And then what happens is, my life, when I wake up in the morning, I dress like this for a reason, right? And a lot of people say, look, why are you not wearing normal clothing? I said, I am more than what meets the eye, right? We know little pieces come in time, that's definite, right? But there are a lot of people out there with my private connections around the globe, even in the movies, the TV shows, and other departments, and everybody's starting to work it all out. And I said, wake up and smell that coffee. First thing in the morning, you wake up and you pick up, and you're going to say, this is reality, right? But it's reality of Thomas the Tank and friends themselves. But then you got to work us out and say, look, God damn it, he knows every one of us, right? A lot of us have to do it delicately because we are not, we are diplomaticists, we are diplomacyists, we are trying to rectify problems and solve the problems. We do not go feel like we've gone backwards down the ladder and feel like we lost time. We've got to make up time, right? Every 40 years, so often, well, every 10 years, every so often, right? I'm in my 40s right now, and I'm now calculating season 4 and 5 of the early years. Season 4 started in 2024 this year, right? Strike one. Now you have to wait 10 years for season 5. Why is that? The answer's probably staring in your head and you're calculating it. Why? It'd be 2054 before it hits the actual season 5. Why? I'll be still around when Emily Helen Hatt will be around, but I'll also be then Richard will be the oldest one of them all. Bonk. Right? Emily Helen Hatt won't be born yet. So what's playing it out? We're a little bit behind schedule, but we are on time. But look at the way it's playing out. Look at the years, dates, and the way it's played out. Right? A lot of this is all happening all in truth, but we're just a little bit behind schedule. Why? Safeguarding me, of course. That's number one. Number two, you're asking about Lady Hatt. I said she's already been figured out, but I can't say nothing too much on the internet. Right? A lot of you may think, what the hell is he talking about? I said, look around you. Do you feel that you're a different race? Right? People know it, but then you got to work out why. Right? It's not just that my family, it's my mother's side of the family as well at the moment. My mother's still alive. So if you presumably think she's dead, excuse my language, no, Dr. Hatt is still alive. Why? Let me give you a scenario that might help your brain to unravel certain little departments. You know it's all happening all unfoldedly in truth. Right? There are things that are unfolding in the correct way, and a lot of pieces will come together in time. Right? You have to be realistic on this because this is not a rush. I'm not rushing it. If I rush it, then we all end up being problem wise, right? The taxi drivers know about this. Everybody, the whole Thomas TTE community all knows about this, right? They know how stupid the North Norfolk Railway has become, or the Northwestern Railway Company that I run up the road, right? I'm not in that building because they don't want me on in the premises because of what I do, right? I'm not against anybody, right? It's just that I've been set up for the wrong reason. That's it. End story. They're gonna get a feedback saying no, this is false information. Why? The truth will set you free, yes, but the lies and the deceits that are still floating up there, they haven't got the message around yet. So when all the message dies down and it all goes quiet down, it might build back up like it used to be before in about like 2015 and below. So it will be like going forward and forward again. Then everything will start clicking back in place slowly. But I'm not going to tell you how we're going to achieve it, right? Because it's like there's a lot of people involved, all right? These people are well known of, well respected, part of friends, family, connections, the full whack. They all helping me. Why? Because there's no lie on that. Right? You have to be realistic and start thinking, God damn it, he knows a lot about these railways. I said, yeah, my ancestor, Sir Topham Hatt Sr., started in 1845, and then he also died in June 1935. So that leaves 1 year behind when my grandfather was born on 1934 on the first, I think it was yes, that was true, 1934. Sir Topham Hatt I was born. Bang. Right, and then it continued the bloodline. So then you have to wait another 40 years before that some of us have to be in a mature status level to actually go back a bit and then go forward. Why? The answer lies with the clue that I'm providing here. The clue is in with me. Right? You've now got to work out the very big puzzle piece around this because it's a little tiny piece in your eyes. Right? So you're helping me as I help you. Right? I can only do as much as I can. Right? I know what's unfolding. I know what is basically supposed to unfold correctly. Right? A lot of people are some people's minds can hack the extra bit, which I already hacked into. So work it out. I know exactly what's unfolding, and then you've got to work out why. People know I solved the puzzle, yes, which I'm not going to give out the full answer to. In any angle, sir, bust the buttons! In every angle, Thomas, in every angle. So work it out. So everything is unfolding correct, yes, in little pieces, come in time. People think this is all a rush. It's no rush game. This is not a joke. Norfolk Railway's taking you for a ride. They're the ones that are cocky, rude, and selfish. Excuse my language, but that's truth, right? I want to be honest with you because I've been dishonest, right? I've been honest with you because it's true, right? Little pieces come in time. People don't just get it straight away at first because there's a lot of information to absorb in one bucket, right? A lot of you out there know that certain events unfolding, and it's probably like a lot of parents or children need more answers. The children can't have these answers because they have to start off as railway children. This is what makes the build up, right? So as the railway children get rebuilt up again, the personalities, the rolling stock, the connections, my friends and connections from schools and colleges, from Orsted and Vickerstown and then Orsted again, vice versa, and going down that line. And then you're ending up with a big finale at the age of 37, I rised. Right? You got me. Right? But at first, a lot of people couldn't absorb what the hell's going on here. You know, a lot of people got computers out trying to tap me into my acknowledgement why I'm here, and they couldn't work. They couldn't. All they could do was go forward, right? They can't go back. If they go back, then they have to dig in a lot of information they cannot have, right? So they have to work forward now, from my perspective, from my end onwards. So now they got Richard Topham Hatt and Emily Helen Hatt next on the line, right? I am trying to put little pieces together come in time because it's a simple way of making you aware of the situation. This is no joke. This is not a simple thing that you want to forget every day. You have to be realistic, right? I've been honest. I've been straight. I've been telling you, don't go near the Norfolk Railway. Doesn't matter what Facebook tell you. Facebook just knocks you out of a window sometimes. But I may use it. Yes, I do. But I'm in hiding plain sight. Why? Because I always be honest with you. But there's certain people I know, you know, some people I know, you may not know. It depends on which direction, right? You have to be realistic that there are little pieces that come in time for a reason, so we don't end up rushing ourselves to the end of a core and destroy the planet Earth. As example, right? You don't want that. Well, that's the Japan and China's choice. Right? If they want to destroy the United States of America, as example, they won't get it now because they lost. So what will happen next? The cops will try and investigate about the missiles and the nuclear missiles and try and prevent it, right? I'm not going to get involved because it's not our fight, right? We got to establish the here and now to try and really understand why the hacks are going to continue on and on and on. We are here. We are here to stay. We are here to safeguard you. We are here to protect you. But there are things we have to do in our lives to pursue it further forward for you. Right, so you want Richard Topham Hatt and Emily Helen Hatt, right? There are things about the way it's unfolded in truth and logic and respect. The thing is, what you have to see is that little pieces come in time. We don't want to rush it because or we end up with that problem, right? So I'm just at this moment. People said I already completed my part of my puzzle and realised who's who. All I have to do is work out the individual that I am supposed to be with, right? The big thing that a lot of people are saying is that little things come in time. We're not rushing it. We're not going round down the line so quick like a locomotive would, right? All my support angels are all on standby, safeguarding me, supporting me, trying to help me as much as they can. Some clues are right in front of my eyes, and I have to use that to my advantage, right? A lot of you out there might think little pieces come in time because we can't rush it. If we rush it, we destroy ourselves. And that's like my private connection from America saying the same thing. He said, "You don't want to hurt me because I'm your only." It's like saying you got half a book and not got the other half because of my support engines are not fully aware of their extra timeline, as example. So that's just an example of the acknowledgement that I'm taking in on everybody's work, everyone's emotions and achievements and everybody else. And while everybody's like playing video games all the time, I'm not doing that. I have to keep everybody up to date. These little pieces come in time for a reason. There's a set time stamp, if you would like to call it, right? Right when people know what is supposed to unfold and unfold correctly without damaging ourselves. There are times that you look in yourself, right, and there's a lot of things that add up, make sense, gets the corrections in place, and ending up saying, "Yeah, we believe that because it's happening, it's unfolding," right? I try my utmost to do what needs to be done, right? It has to be done correctly to recorrect everything, right? My family is so well known for centuries and centuries and centuries that you didn't even realise that the NHS is carrying false documents. As another example, which is why I won't go into detail with that either, but I want them to wake up and smell the damn coffee. I said, I prefer to be called Stephen Topham Hatt III because that's who I am. Right? My grandfather, Sir Topham Hatt I, wanted me to be safeguarded. So what did he do? He used Matthew Stephen Manson as the cover up. So I've been using that name for 37 years, but to everybody else's eyes, I'm Stephen Hatt, now called Stephen Topham Hatt III, the fact controller of the NWR, which is what is true. It's basically on facts, it's truth, it's logic, and it's fact. You can't defeat that because if you defeat a fact or a truth that's revealed to you, little pieces come in time. They didn't all rush in one bucket. Everybody's read the books, watched the series, obviously as well, and you did not actually realise it's real life in the end, at the end of that book. It wasn't the complete end of the book. That's a cliffhanger, right? That cliffhanger is half the third generation's lifespan, if you will, right? That third gen's lifespan is basically 37 years. So to you, when you're reading it in the book, you're reading it for 5 minutes and then you close the book, right? It's not that easy. Because, well, I got Toby, Edward, Gordon, James, Percy, Toby, Dirk, Donald and Douglas, Oliver, Emily, and Rosie and Rebecca and so many more. Bang! What do you end up with? The actual real people. and now you're actually saying little pieces come in time. People know the people's personalities, of course, right? Duck is a very, very common engine for our status. We all take jokes, laughs, and sense of humours around it. I said it's a real life event. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, right? I'll tell you something that will make you laugh, but it's not appropriate time to say about this. There's a lot of episodes that you watch in the classic series that's unfolded in truth, and it's unfolding again, and it's still unfolding from where it left off, and then you're progressing forward, and you got my life span. Right? Did a private friend of mine state this as like a quote? Right? Said, right, a lot of you may ask a simplified question, right? And say, why little pieces come in time? Because we don't rush it. If we rush it, we destroy ourselves, right? I know a lot of you might think this is a load of hoax, this is a lot of joke. But the purpose, it isn't, sir. No, it isn't at any cost, Thomas, in every angle. Now work that out. No voice mixing material. Little pieces come in time. A lot of people get a good laugh out of that and joke at times and realistically realise it's real, not a children's book. So what's happened? The facts have been added for the third generation, but it's also continuing. Why? Go that way and go, keep going, circulating, circulating, circulating. What are you going to end up with? The fourth gen of my family and the fifth gen. So I'll be around for a little bit longer, right? A lot of people may think, oh, he's hoax. I said, no, I'm bloody hell not. In any angle. So work it out. So work it forward, and you're ending up with the right time spans for everything. Dates, years, months, all of it. Why? All the clues were there. All the answers were there. But how? Not all the clues and the answers will come straight in one day. That's for sure. People are rushing me, but I'm telling you, the more you rush me, the harder it gets. And then you'll end up the ones that be having the graves on with their names on it. Right? I'm trying to slow myself down. Why? Taking control. The ability to do what needs to be done. People get a good laugh at me. Yes, it's all unfolding the truth. Sometimes they laugh. Sometimes they joke. I bumped into a couple while I was walking along Killing Heath, as they call it, right? Not very far from here. And two people had a Dalmatian, which I stated, and I used my back controller's voice. It said, "Hello, Pongo," and 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 these owners were laughing their heads off at Killing Heath. Now that's truth, and that's fact. Why? You see, well, all the stories are all plain, all in truth, and it's all in logic. Now work around it. Why? I'm going to ask this question because little pieces do come in time and they will take time, right? How many of you know that there's so many real life franchises still continuing today? Right? You had Murder She Wrote, which is number one. The Bill is number two. Then what I am doing now, which is number three. And then you have Star Trek number four. Why? Then you got Power Rangers number five. Why? Connections, friends, family, all of that. And you have to realize there was a sixth one in play. Why? Why is number six so important right now? Let me give you a summary up, right? Let me give you a heads up, right? My grandfather's genetic code right now is 58 to another 58. Why? Because my father was born in 1958. Charles Topham Hatt II. Right? That's truth. Right? Sir Topham Hatt was born in 1934. Right? So what did he do to get the timeline correct? Right? Sir Topham Hatt I, my grandfather, of course. Charles Topham Hatt is my father. Rule him out for a moment. Why? Because of his big mistake he does. Right? My grandfather safeguarded me by keeping me by with my mother and keeping a close eye, obviously. But that's not the point here. The point is little pieces come in time. But what's different about me? I will make this quite simple. I'm not just an ordinary hat that you can rattle your cage around with, right? I'm explaining part of my DNA code. Porter 37, activate! Mark 21, activate! Equals 58, 1958, which is my grandfather's time on the railway, Sir Topham Hatt I, already on a platform, on platform 2. Why? So work it out. My grandfather had a son called Charles Topham Hatt II. Ding! Which is my father. Now you have me, which is number 21. But also 37. Why? Equals 58, so it goes back to my grandfather. Why? Sir Topham Hatt I. Think about it. Goes from that end and it goes to my father as well. Why do you know I know so much compared to a little pieces come in time? Which it is. Then I ended up with my granddaughter being number 12. Why? She's Emily Helen Hatt, my granddaughter, which is true. But then I've got my son, Richard Topham Hatt, that's the next one in line. So work it out. Richard Topham Hatt is the next one in line. That's my son. And then you got my granddaughter, number 5. So work it out. It makes sense, don't it? Now you have to work out. I'm in my 40s right now, right? A lot of people will say it will take another 40 years. No, it's not going to take another 40 years. What will happen? Richard Topham Hatt will probably end up doing some of my early years as well as the modern years. Why? Because the timeline isn't correct always on Wild Northwestern's timeline. It's added correct to a point, but the years don't match up. So, let's take it for example, right? If his pull date is correct, if he has got my granddaughter's the date of birth, if you would like to call it, on the 12th of October, what year would it be? This is where it's catching you out. It would not be 1977 because that's going to reverse it. You want to go forward. Work forward. What do you get? If it's meant to be, if it was telling you it was 1977, and I'm going to be blunt on this, right? I'm going to be honest with you, right? Right, just going to get a calculator check as well because I have to make sure everything falls into play in this. Right, 1977 plus 40, which is what I needed. Right, the obvious thing is, I'm going to be honest with you, right? Right, I won't lie to you, and I won't not bullshit with you, right? Emily Helen Hatt would have be born in 2017, which it isn't. So then you got to try and add another. There's something in the mix that you're not seeing. This is where it gets cocky a bit. Let's just say another 20 because it has to go round that way. Mm-mm. No. Right. If I really want to make it quite clear with you, I'll be honest with you now. If Richard Topham Hatt isn't here yet, nor would Emily Helen Hatt. But look at the time now, which is 2024. It's the beginning of season 4, right? And next season 5 will be 10 years from now, right? So there's a lot of time gap, right? So there's a calculation check that there is one thing you need to think about. You have to gather why it's played out the way it would, yes, but the years and the dates don't add up. Because it's not going backwards, it's going forwards. So if you really look at little pieces come in time, people will ask if it's not 1977, which is what it states for my granddaughter, right? The biggest point of all this calculation check, if I was born in October the 10th, 1983, as it was, and I didn't become fact, the man that you see today at the age of 37 as predicted, now the big question is asking you, let me just put this in perspective to make it easier for myself. Because sometimes there's a little calculation check. Right, ding, 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 ding. Right, let's say, let's say, because if I was, right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be a smart cookie on this, right? Right, a lot of people know I was born in 1983, which is true, right? Then you add 40 years to it. But there is some calculation issue. So when I say 1977, right, plus obviously it's going to be something like 30 or 40 years at least, right? If we say 40 equals, right, it's going up 2017, right, which is wrong. So you're going to end up saying, okay, so there's a catch. But because the way it all set in stone, like I said, little pieces come in time, right? So what would be the magical number? Think about it logically, right? You got me in 1983, but I wasn't on the platform until 1984, which is what it stated it would be, but it isn't. It's 20 years, 40 years ahead, right? So somewhere down the line, you got. I'm now just calculating it all up because if it adds up correctly, we are behind schedule. right? Everything is played out correctly, right? So if you really want the accurate number, you really need to understand where we all are at one point. But I will be providing the dates of all of us because a lot of us are genuinely related and how it's all connected up. People know about it, but logically down the line, you have to work out if Emily Helen Hatt is not here, because she would have lived with me, not the other way round, right? Then you got Richard Topham Hatt, my son, who was also not on the list yet, nor is the other individual at the bottom of the chain, which is who I haven't worked out yet. So, in layman terms, little pieces come in time. So it took me 40 years, 2024, to come where you are supposed to be in the book, right? So now the tables are turned. So not a child anymore, I'm an adult. But while the rest of this timeline from season 4 is 2024, now work forward another 24 years. You get season 5, or I say 10 years for this matter. But can you see how it's unfolding gently? It's not rushing it. It's not deterministic. Right? I'm leaving it to run on its natural course, and you ended up with little pieces come in time. It's not a game to anybody in any shape or form because it affects people's lives in different ways. But you have to be realistic to yourself because you have to be honest, not dishonest. Because if you're dishonest, you're not going nowhere. So little pieces come in time, and there's a big reason for that. So if it's 2024, yes, Boco's on the line. Yes, I am aware of that. Right? Where's Bill and Ben? They're not there because they're in a different area. So realistically, you're looking at what you will call everything is playing out correctly, but there's a little twist here and there because not all the pieces are all together. So little pieces come in time from me and my lady Hat and Richard Topham Hatt and my granddaughter Emily Helen Hatt, who should be not a present right now. So you haven't got my son yet or my granddaughter. That's a thing you have to worry about mostly and mostly importantly first. Why? Because I put my lady Hat first. Why? Because she's important. She's my number one direction right now. Right? The Norfolk Ferry can wait. Because at the moment they can basically destroy the whole station the way they want it, right? But at the moment it's nothing to do with me at this present time. My mother, Dr. Hatt, stated, leave them alone, let them mess up, and they will end up screwed up, and then they will end up finding out there's a little piece missing, which links back to you. Basically me, right? And that's what she said to me, quotably. So let them mess up, let them mess, you know what I mean? Mess up, and you'll end up finding out there's a missing piece of puzzle for everybody. Like I said, little pieces come in time. It's not a big thing. It's not a big thing to argue over, right? But you have to be logical and factable to realise what is unfolded. So if I already know that Boco's on the line, who did he bring along? Like I said, little pieces come in time. And you have to be patient. Why do you think I've been very patient right now? Because if I go and try and look for her, I end up going the other way, and we end up with one big problem, and then you know that big problem so damn well, and then we don't want to end up like that. So I hope this helps, but I want you to fully understand this is all realistic at every angle. Thank you very much.